She's written about pigs and cats and chickens, octopus and other animals. And what I really love about her is that she doesn't sentimentalize, she doesn't anthropomorphize, and yet she sort of similar to, it sounds like Elson. You know, she's a scientist and she writes very poetically, and she's all about connecting the species and getting to know them without actually assuming that their differences are so different, their similarities are so similar. You know, she's investigating. And I just love the way she writes. I was introduced to her by The Good Good Pig, which was about a little piglet that fell off a pork truck. And they figured that, okay, he got out, you know, get out of jail free card, so we can't send him to the abattoir now. Like, we have to adopt him as a pet. And he became a teacher of children, you know. The school kids would come to visit him and learn about him. Apparently he had lots of personality, and it became a bestseller. And that's how I got introduced to her. So she has gone diving and met wild octopuses, but her journey with octopuses first started when she went to the big aquariums, and she got to know the captive octopus there. She also quotes one of the big time octopus experts in the world at Vancouver Aquarium. So I didn't know that. Now I want to go down there and see the octopus. I'm excited to do that if anybody wants to come with me. So they all have names because they're captive, and this one is Athena. Here is an animal with venom like a snake, a beak like a parrot, and ink like an old-fashioned pen. It can weigh as much as a human and stretch as long as a car, yet it can pour its baggy, boneless body through an opening the size of an orange. It can change color and shape. It can taste with its skin. Most fascinating of all, I had read that octopuses are smart. How could that be? It's hard to find an animal more unlike a human than an octopus. Their bodies aren't organized like ours. We go head, body, limbs. They go body, head, limbs. Their mouths are in their armpits, or if you prefer to liken their arms to our lower instead of our upper extremities, between their legs. They breathe water. Their appendages are covered with dexterous, grasping, slimy suckers, a structure for which no mammal has an equivalent. Octopus represent the great mystery of the other. They seem completely alien, and yet their world, the ocean, comprises far more of the Earth, 70% of its surface area, and more than 90% of its habitable space, than does land. Most animals on this planet live in the ocean, and most of them are invertebrates. I wanted to meet the octopus. I wanted to touch an alternate reality. I wanted to explore a different kind of consciousness, if such a thing exists. Oh, that's okay. Even their blood is a different color from ours. It's blue because copper, not iron, carries its oxygen. In his classic, The Outermost House, American naturalist Henry Beston writes that animals are not brethren, they are not underlings, but beings gifted with extensions of the senses we have lost or never attained, living by voices we shall never hear. They are, he writes, other nations, caught with ourselves in the net of life and time, fellow prisoners of the splendor and travail of the earth. To many people, an octopus is not just another nation. It's an alien from a distant and menacing galaxy. But to me, Athena was more than an octopus. She was an individual who I liked very much. And also, she was possibly a portal. She was leading me to a new way of thinking about thinking, of imagining what other minds might be like. And she was enticing me to explore in a way I had never before my own planet, a world of mostly water, which I hardly knew. I reached for the webbing between Athena's arms, which was as delicate as gossamer, and so thin I could see bubbles beneath it, as sometimes happens within a swimsuit. And yet this body, so unlike my own, was responding to my touch like a dog's or a cat's or a child's. Even though her skin can change color and taste flavors, it, like mine, relaxes into a caress. And she's got pictures in here of the octopuses caressing the staff at this New England aquarium, which has the giant Pacific octopus in it, which is the biggest in the world, of which Athena was one of them. Those who work with octopuses report seeing things that, according to the way we've learned the world normally works, should not be happening. Such was the day my colleague found herself chasing a fist-size octopus as it ran across the floor. Yes, ran. You chase them under the tank, back and forth, like you were chasing a cat, she said. It's so weird.
Wow.
Some would allow themselves to be captured, only to use the net as a trampoline. They'd leap off the mesh like acrobats and dive to the floor and then run for it. She described the experience of working with these small invertebrates as nothing short of surreal. Oh, I can't even imagine what that would be. That would be like seeing a fish run, you know?
Yeah.
Like it just, I mean, I know it's not a fish, but I want to see this before I die, you know, somehow.
Fascinating.
My philosopher friend, Peter Godfrey Smith, and an Australian dive buddy had discovered a site 3 hours south of Sydney that they call Octopus, where at a depth of about 60 feet, they have found as many as 11 Octopus tetrachus living within 2 yards of each other. These are fairly large octopus with arm spans of 6 feet or more and distinctive soulful white eyes that also give the species the nickname the gloomy octopus. With arm spans of 6 feet or more and distinctive, oh, I read that. I've had a couple of experiences where we were diving at this site and an octopus grabbed my hand and took me to its den 5 meters away. Once an octopus took him on what he called a big circuit around the area, a tour that lasted 15 minutes. Afterward, the octopus climbed all over and investigated him with his suckers, as if having shown him around the neighborhood, he now wanted to explore his human guest in return. He said, "I've never encountered anything that watched me like this. In all my years of photographing animals underwater, it was like a person watching a model at a fashion shoot or a pro football player at a game.